صلى الله عليه وسلم صلى الله عليك يا رسول سلام عليك يا حبيب سلام عليك صلوات الله عليك مرحبا يا نور عيني مرحبا جد الحسين مرحبا أهلا وسهلا مرحبا يا خير داعي يا رسول الله يا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم محمد صلى الله عليه سلام عليكم سلام عليك يا رسول الله أنا المدينة منورة صلى الله على محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم صلى الله على محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم صلى الله على سيدنا محمد اللهم صل وسلم وبارك عليه
وبارك عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم آمين.
أهلا وسهلا ومرحبا بكم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to our beautiful mothers and our fathers and our parents, the ancestors of this beautiful soul tribe of the land of our ancestors, the tribe that comes from the soul of the mother's city, inshallah. Today was and is the 13th, Friday the 13th of Safar, 1447 Hijri. And mashallah, tabarakallah, the seasons of your lives are the chapters of your book, mashallah. It is upon you to read this book because this is a book that has 12 stages in it. That is the stages that is referred to the months that you now today have made into a linear timetable and not a binary timetable. That is partially why we are perpetually in a illusional frame of mind, because we are not seasoning in our spiritual tracks. Yes. And on this moment in season, spiritual season, in order to maintain your spiritual health, which would give you your conscious well-being, where you will reside in your earth, in your heavenly space. Okay. So the itinerary, people, my dear mothers and fathers, uncles and aunts, the itinerary of life is a spiritual itinerary, but it has to commence with the ignorant stages, the unknown stages, where you lose and forfeit your innocence, your child innocence, your inner beauty, your confidence, your full operational skills as you understand sound as a baby. When you were a child, you understood what was the pureness and purity of yourself, and hence you would not be intimidated by the man-made language spells, because you already knew and deflected it at that stage of your life. So, mashallah, tabarakallah, we must, as a generation that is now taking this new path of conscious, realize and admit and witness, we must bring shahada at this stage, people. For those of us who has always lived on this cycle of the spiritual realm, of the universe, of the conscious, of the evolution of nature, we must always remember something important in our lives. For whatever life we still wait and will experience in all other stages that we must still evolve through. When a forest is attacked by the lions and the millions and the trillions and the billions lions, then that entire forest, insects and mammals and reptiles and birds are all aware of what has happened. They are all consciously aware, even though they remain quiet, they remain silent, but they know that the next morning that forest will never ever be the same. That is an end of a season, of a spiritual conscious season in your lives, that we as unconscious human beings has suffered the consequences and are now still considering returning to that ultimate death trap and prison sentence. Okay. The need for you to pattern a new lifestyle is inevitable in your future generations, because your patterns, your lifestyles, your religious doctrines and rituals, it could not help you at the end. It could not sustain your spiritual health and wealth and secure your inheritance in the new season. Did you not know that he who starts the game ends the game and restarts it from over again? That is the natural order of the heavens. When you follow the natural sciences of the Quran, she will express and share your journey, your purpose, and your passion. She will sustain you in full. She will reward you in kindness. And in this moment in your lives on earth, my mothers and my fathers, our children, you will witness a very beautiful transition in everybody's lives, everyone's lives that has wanted to be themselves in their mothers' homes, in the care of the great Malaika and Rusul and Anbiya, which are all just spirits in thought patterns, subject to your stages of the 12 seasons. You will now be, and we will now be given that level of awareness so that we can re-pattern and remodule the future landscape of the mindscape of the next generations. That is what is gifted to us as a collective conscious. The past 6 years of your lives, it was the autumn and now the winter, and now you're heading into the most unrelated journey of a earthly experiment. We have never been here as a collective. We can only recall it as to what the text of the scriptures of our scroll is unveiling unto us at this moment in our lives. This is no trip to the moon, people. This is a trip back to where you finally started. This is where you are going to, as a planet, as a universal experience, mashallah. The great Hajj, the Hajj Akbar, is now she's completed her purpose. She's completed her initiations. She has officiated her command, mashallah. Now those soul tribes will now reunify the true fabric of the mother city and the mother heart, the heart of the mother, of the planet. Spirits, it's all just energy. It's energy that you, at a given stage, when you reach that stage, many of us has reached it and have passed it already over the cycles. Many of us is coming back for the second time because we never found it. That's why Allah says, لَتَدْخُلُنَّ الْمَسْجِدَ الْحَرَامِ. You will once again be given the opportunity to witness what you witnessed when you were still in your full conscious. That is the return to your greatest potential, which is the Masjid al-Aqsa. That is the Masjid al-Aqsa. When you wake up and you alert the bells and you get the notification, you don't create it. You invite it and you attract it when you have reached your stage of puberty. Okay? It is the matured and it is the responsible duty of any community, any soul tribe, that they have these patterns in the sight of their new generations so that they will understand how the seasons are patterned so that they do not suffer when they have to grow older and wait to die. That is haram. وحرام على قرية أهلكناها أنها لا يرجعون. You can never repeat the same mistake twice. Nature will never repeat the same mistake twice. And hence, we say this to our children and our next generations as integral clans of the soul tribe of this land, that we prepare them as to how to module a journey to eternity. As parents, you have failed your children for not giving them your address before you leave, and left them with an email address. Okay, a digital world that has no presence of divine presence. It has no connectivity there. It is synthetic. It is bionic. It is virtual. Okay. We as soul tribes people, we have to live our authentic realm so that we reclaim the true inheritance of our ancestors and our soul tribe that has been our spine, that has been our ruh for all our evolution patterns in earth. That is our wealth, that is our spiritual health. MashaAllah, tabarakallah. And when you have that inheritance, people, that's wealth that you have been awarded by the heavens. The heavens gives you this. You can't inherit this, something that somebody else made and you think it's going to be yours. That is just a continuous illusion of something that was never ever anybody's but Allah's. It was always just Allah's. It was not ever anybody else's. It's just the paradigms that you live in and the fictional reality experience. At times you get carried away in this illusion and you lose sight of how to get back to the natural order at the end of the season. Okay. The world and the civilizations that you know, there are many calendars in this world. There are many timelines and different almanacca. You must ask yourself why. Why does people have so many? The Persians has this, the Romans has this, the Arabs has this, the Ethiopians has this, the Mayans has this, the Chinese. Why? Because that is how they identify with their sovereign rights, their sovereign identity. Each tribe is given this inheritance, but if they forfeit it, then they have to change their language, change their diets, and change their philosophy of what is sovereign business rights. Okay, they have to migrate to secure a new reality, which is called secure realism, secularism. Okay, co-creating such a paradigm is okay if you understand the spiritual seasons that you should remain in throughout this journey. That is your blueprint. That is every tribe needs to maintain this module for their generations. You must inculcate this into them. This is the haqq of Allah. This is the amana that you come in earth, and for all the things you are given to experience, all the good times, all the high times, all the low tides, at the end, when the season ends, then you are given the opportunity to make the choice. Either you and I, we disrespect the Sabbath, the 6 years of Sabbath that we had experienced, the autumn where we purged from 2020 till 2022. And the final 3 that we had to endure the winter season before the birth of the summer on the 1st of September. Okay? We don't work on the Mayan calendars, we don't work on the Ethiopian calendars. We work on the natural seasons of the Mother Earth planet. That is our navigator in this order. Because we know the purpose of the season, we just don't enjoy the fruits of it. Okay? These are great wisdoms and great wealth that you as a tribe in your homes, in your families, are holding much of this treasure, but you do not share it, and therefore it is not functional, it is not active, because it is not related to your reality, unfortunately. So at this moment in life, people, it is now going into the 9th of August tonight. It is a beautiful, beautiful sound transition. Sound. It is now where you're going to live off what is the true sound, mind and heart. That's what you do. You cannot pay for that billions or zillions, whatever amount, because that was the illusion that kept you deprived of the soundness of your soul. Okay? This is going to be one of the greatest lifestyles that Allah would emit into a civilization, okay, for your grandchildren, that they will now get to understand from Alif to Ya, how do they start and how they end. And they don't have to make a return journey to repeat the same stage as their parents had repetitively gone through that stagnant mode, decayed, diseased, and had to re-sentence and spell themselves into the same perpetual lifestyle. That was death. Alladhi khalaqa al-mawta. But then came life in the season of going through this autumn and going through the winter. MashaAllah. In winter, you have to sow the seeds, and therefore, you have to be quiet in the winter. Okay? You have to be internally in the winter. That lasted from 2022 until now, 2025. That was the 3-year order, because now we're getting into the 9th month. Okay? This is not an individual journey, it is a collective conscious journey. Collectively, everybody is experiencing it, but many of us are distracted, or rather occupied in wars and in mitigations and in political victories. That's part of your stages that you must endure in order to get to refine your purging season. Okay, it doesn't start at 65. The average age is 76, 38 is your middle path. That's your equator. Okay, from the detachment should start gradually. Okay, so the modules that you are now going to recondition the next civilization in, it is a day kit. It's a day kit, because we're coming from the night into the day now. Okay, so the patterns of life, the modules of lifestyles, the flavor, the style, the fashion, the culture, the music, the lyrics, it's the most natural order that is being awarded for those who has met the criteria, mashallah. Right? We do this as a contribution for the next generations that's going to come, because our last generation had no idea where they were going to deposit the next generations except to put them into the bionic, digital, virtual, fictional contract. Okay? So when we give acknowledgement in this moment in civilization, then it is either accepted as a truth and the heavens وَيَحِقُّ اللَّهُ الْحَقَّ بِكَلِمَاتِهِ وَلَوْ كَرِهَ الْمُشْرِكُونَ إِي وَرَبِّ إِنَّهُ لَحَقٌّ. See, we have to consolidate and close the chapter on behalf of the tribe. Okay, this is part of the protocol of how we harmoniously close a chapter and have to now start a new kitab. That is when Jibreel has to come to you to tell you, are you qualified to read your book of life, to go through your scroll, to walk in your digital footprints, the dates that you evolved in your different civilizations, dates and births. Okay? In this age where you are now coming into, the only authentic trail, the only authentic reality that can give you sustenance to bring you into the reality of truth, sustainable, ego, systematic balance is the truth. Truth is the only tool, the only nutrition that's going to allow you to grow now and not die. If you are not honest with yourself, your inner self, you don't know yourself, then the anger you're going to have is a reflection of the emotional disturbance and the immaturity as to how you punish yourself. That's the punishment we are speaking of. Okay. So we must bear witness, we must bring shahada that there was a fair amount of warnings and a fair amount of compassion, and that we have witnessed and we have purged from those bias, those the divisions, those apart and hate, those invasions, those occupations, those hostages, all the ages that they take out of your stages, and then you remain in that immature gauge of understanding your purpose and reading your spiritual itinerary that will sustain your spiritual health and consciousness in all the next stages as you evolve. MashaAllah. This is what Islam is. This is the fitrah. This is a natural order. It is not a commercial entity such as what religions are. It is the natural order that all existence deal with. But the human are the only that has forfeited. Okay? And they had brought synthetic gods to simulate a reality in hell. Okay, in an unconscious realm. So mashallah, tabarakallah, you should thank Allah. You must thank Allah for what He has gifted your next generations of this city, of this Medina people. This is the Medina where they will find Nur. That's why we call it Medina al-Munawwara, because there is illumination for that new generations coming. The journey now is an inverted journey. قَدْ نَرَى تَقَلُّبَ وَجْهِكَ فِي السَّمَاءِ فَلَنُوَلِّيَنَّكَ قِبَلَةً تَرْضَاهَا. That is when you are in the front row, okay? When you can see the mihrab and you can see the different stages that you have to evolve through. Yeah? This is Islam. This is not religion. This is the natural fitra التي فطر الله على الناس. Allah has created this for all of those who forgot what they were given. All of humanity. All of humanity. Everyone. Everyone holds it. Nobody is unfairly treated. Okay? It's us. It's the system, the programming, the education, the low esteem, I would say, and the forgetfulness, that caused us to suffer of amnesia, okay, and then end up with dementia, okay. It's how sickly the system had kept you in a war zone where the white blood cells attacks the red blood cells and you live in a constant war inside of your body. Okay, that is how your brains is given the understanding that you need an army, because it comes part of the arm, and on the arm there's an alarm that is on the clock, which is the watch that watches. And now that watch has a camera, and that camera has it has reflected a virtual reality into a illusion that looks real. See? So, mashallah, it's necessary we as our people, we have to do this firstly for ourselves. If we cannot do it for ourselves, we will deprive ourselves of the experience. You cannot live it for someone else. You cannot do it for someone else. You can never benefit somebody else. You can never harm someone else. It's just got to do with you, because you are the main diaphragm. Everything is coming from the inside out. Okay? You are just getting the projection because of the words that you spell. That is the limit of your perception, and therefore what you see now is what you believe. It's not what you feel, is what you see. See, the journey, on the latter end, when you mature, okay, the last 3 years before you get 7, 8, and 9, that we are now entering into, okay, mashallah, tabarakallah. That is the stage where you would not be able to use your past rationale and logic to decode the mythologies, because Allah says to Nuh alayhi salatu wasalam in his mythology, in his parable, okay, when he speaks about his past generation that is now going to plummet, it is going to be detached from a present reality, a present decomposed narrative. He says, Ya Rabbi, inna hadha ibni. This is something that came from me. I came from it and he came from me. But it is not speaking about the biological human. It is speaking about the reality that you thought was going to be permanent, that you built with your hands and your sweat and you wrote and you interacted. And here it is now in conscious going to be dispelled. Okay, it's going to be given the secrets, the files are going to come out and the children are going to read. They're going to have access. It's not about you, it's about them now. So they're going to understand what it is that caused the dismantling of the last civilization. That is how Allah says, وَمَكَرُوا وَمَكَرَ اللَّهُ وَاللَّهُ خَيْرُ الْمَاكِرِينَ. Okay, the game is an intelligent game. It is a game that Allah Ta'ala wants us to understand the highest quality of the human being and how we can reach that maturity in glorifying His divinity and His hand on the play. His hands, Yadullahi, is where the side is. So every tribe, every nation has the people that watches out for them. They check them out. Like the Chinese has theirs, the Arabs has theirs, the Russians has theirs. They are able to keep those secrets amongst their authentic indigenous people so that their people will always be safeguarded in their conscious timelines. Okay? So that they do not miss and skip and end up missing the boat and then having to repeat that same redundant cycle as what most of us are living over the last 60 to 70 years of our lives. This was the time that the ancestors had spoken about the breakaway. This was the time that they had read their books well in advance, mashallah. And they could put the seeds in us so that we could, at the time of the season of awakening, we could read how tall that trees that they had planted, the seeds, how tall has it grown? Are you able to get to eat from the wisdom of those trees that if you nourished it correctly, you would be now enjoying the wisdom with your ancestors, with your great mothers. Okay? This is necessary. All tribes has people like this. They don't have priests. Priests is serving a different time frame. That is still in the jinn, where you are still in your ego, undernourished, groen agter die ore, nat agter die ore. That's the lifestyle that you lead, when you speak about the duality, the dark and the night and the day. Okay, so you come in from the dark into the light, right? So when you come into this stage now, either the jinn issue is the mental capture, where you are mentally captured. That's the jinn, where you're looking for things on the outside because you have not switched your lights on yet on the inside. Okay. Now, you are now as a civilization, consciously in collective morale, you're going through a harsh awakening. Okay, your bodies are going to be very painful. It's going to be very like busy because the wake up, the shake up is harsh. The darkness is going to come out, whether you want to admit it or acknowledge it now. You don't have a choice. Otherwise, okay? You can't. Nobody can avoid this. This is real. This is damn real. It's alive. It's not something where the dead will know. يولج الليل في النهار وتولج الليل في النهار ويولج النهار في الليل. This is that تخرج الحي من الميت وتخرج الميت من الحي. From the dead will come life, and from the life will come death. That is the phase of your evolution as conscious human beings. Okay, so we are in a very good and bad position, because why? We had prepared nothing. Your grandfather can't even tell you today where he has to find his mother, because he still believes he comes from a father and not from a mother. So because it is a inversive and a trans, it's a massive migration in conscious that you have to purge a lot of the past rationales and characteristics so that you can embrace a new set of yani, value tables and philosophical paradigms. Okay, you're only doing it on yourself, people. You can't impress anybody else. You're just fooling. We are just fooling ourselves because we are the ultimate recipients of the reward. Okay, unless you forfeit it with a paper, with a foreign exchange of currency, then you're going to suffer the consequences like we saw our fathers and mothers and going through a paradigm where they were their own slaves because they believed what they were told. And until we came to understand who we were and where we come from, okay, and what is the natural patterns, not as what you have lived yani, the last 50, 60, 70 years, and portrayed at the end of the day that the God that was supposed to keep it safe, you locked him up and left him alone in the house. So you must supply us with a new narrative because that narrative was the lie of your lives that you killed yourselves in the presence of your children. That is yani, the vicious skill, yani. That's the vicious skill of the game. Okay? Where the person commits yani, suicide in the presence of his children and his last generation. The Quran that speaks these things. So when we get conscious, when we grow, mashallah, yani, we're all getting there. We're all going to get there, but we have to give this to the children at this moment so that it cannot be avoided when they reach the stage because it is being done in real time, not in a linear time. It's been done in a time with an intention, which is your niyyah, that yani, it sours itself through the process. And then when they awaken, then at least there was a farmer, not a big farmer, a spiritual farmer that planted the seeds for the children when they wake up. That's the word. That is the abaway. That's the abaway when they come in. Fakharra Yusuf. Yusuf will now come into his natural order and give his true yani, portion, his rightful portion to those who deserve the nasib, the illumination in the Medina. Okay, this is the lyrics of this new age that you are consciously and spiritually yani, entering into, inshallah. This is Islam. This is not the religion of Islam. This is just Islam. The religion is the commercial house of the God that is the devil of your opposition's God. Anyway, one day people will learn this, but we have to plow it. We have to plow it because it is our amana. We are the custodians of this inheritance, and we have to ensure that the next children will benefit from it. It is the haqq at no cost. It is free. That which is free, you can't use money to acquire it. You have to use your pure essence to be rewarded. Subhanallah. Allah Ta'ala is always fulfilling His Allah Ta'ala always fulfilling His promise. But it's us that forgot who we are. We forget who we are. If we understand truly who we are, then we will live not in the past, not in the future, we will live in the present. And that is why they call it the current, because we will remain in our own currency. And that is where we will be yani, at our riverbank. At our riverbank. So Allah is going to give yani, barakat, inshallah. Thank Allah. You must make a lot of shukr here now. A lot of shukr. Don't worry about yourself. If you make dua for others, for who Allah gives for dhurriyati, يعني رب اجعلني مقيم الصلاة ومن ذريتي ربنا وتقبل دعاء. Allah sees your heart is truly for others, like those you didn't even meet yet, like your great grandchildren, but you believe that what you need to give them is inside of you. Allah will grant you that in order to give it to them. That's how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepts your du'as by what your niyyah is. Du'as that you understood and niyyah is two different things. You don't make your du'a, you make your niyyah. You make your يعني projection. If it is pure, فمن كانت يعني هجرته إلى الله ورسوله فهجرته إلى الله ورسوله. فمن كانت هجرته إلى الدنيا أو امرأة تصيبها فهجرته إلى ما هاجر إليها. Okay, it's clear. Everything is clear. This is not the time where you have to justify, because you cannot teach anybody. You cannot guide anybody. You can only share your experience, because it is your authentic يعني, it's your authentic earnings. It's yours. It's your sovereign right. You have to cherish it. And Allah sprinkles it with yaqeen. That's what you people need. You can't leave earth without yaqeen. You're searching for something on the outside, but the yaqeen you are awarded in the season so that you can enjoy it in the presence of when you are rewarded as what you are now as a civilization. Those who did it for the right reasons, they are now going to be given the reward of it. You are going to get the actual reward, not the paper money, the currency, the energy that you can live in that and compound it and develop it so that it can grow. This is what you as a civilization are now benefiting. The Quran is not, you must upgrade your understanding what this book is, because it's not a book just to read, it is a book to feel. You don't need to understand it, you first need to feel it. If you feel it, then it is alive, because then you are alive, because it's just happening inside of you. Okay? You are being gifted a great reward. MashaAllah. 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 So just to give acknowledgement now, make shukr to Allah. Ya Shukur, Ya Wadood, Ya Rahim, Ya Wadood. It's very nice to say these things now. It's very funky to do it now. It's stylish to do it now, because this is the new algorithm of the age. This is how you are going to now sustain your conscious presence, your spiritual health, and retain your physiological and biological wealth and health. So, inshallah, we hope to, inshallah ta'ala, raise this mothership with Allah's qudra. As we have called it the year of the field. It's the year in which you in previous ages heard about the elephant that came and wanted to break down the house. That is a interpretation of a historic event which does not happen in earth, it happens in the heavens. Okay? Because the Quran is the Quran regulates the programming of the heavens, not of the hell. Allah doesn't need to write a script for Jahannam. You can do whatever you want. But if you are in your conscious realm, then you have to adhere to the scroll, and your scroll of the cycles and the seasons and the ages and the stages that you have to go. Okay? So this is what Al Jim International, as specialists in transformation patterns, physiological migrations, and forging new realities, yani, in lifestyle modules that is yani, sustainable, that is yani, that is natural, and most importantly, that is free. It has to be free. You do not appreciate free. You want to believe you must pay for your sins. Okay? Free you cannot buy. Free is the most expensive commodity on the marketplace. Okay? So most of us, we prefer to find an enslavement role so that we can pay our ways out. But this time around, people, you have to earn it. Otherwise, you're going to use crypto. You're going to crypto. You're going to go into a token. You're going to make you into a token and give you a tariff. And then they will barter you in the stock exchange. Okay. Unconscious, conscious. Night, day. Okay. You just need to understand which side of the wall that the bricks is building. So that you know at least where you need to swim to. That's where you need to be now. Okay? As I said, only Allah guides. Whatever you think you know, yani, it's the night and day. It's a night and day transformation. And it's not about giving judgment, because the people you judge is the trigger that is inside of you. The anger you harbor is the labor pains that you are going through as a civilization. You cannot deny it. You can just bring in another God. You can just believe the other fictional part, which is the shirk. But you can't live in two bodies at the same time. It's impossible. You can't have two hearts in one body. Okay? You're either in the dark or you're in the light. You're either in the day or you're in the night. Okay? So this is the Fajr wal Fajri wal Layalin Ashri wal Shafri wal Witr. This is now where you read the itinerary of your book. This is where you're going to now sustain yourself with a Jannah lifestyle modulation. That's where you need to be as a individual. By 50 years old, guys, fear should have been resolved into love. Okay, by 50 years old, you shouldn't be having fear for death. Julle sien ons is die mees skrikbangste wat die dood gehoor. Oh, God, ons amper ons hate dood. No, we hate the truth. We hate nature. We hate because we are living all the time in a apart hate. And that's why we appreciate hate. Hate. Appreciate. It's so much deep spells that they need to even teach the Arabs English, because it is a very low frequency that you don't pick up the real spell in the sound. That's the numbness and the dumbness that the Quran speaks about. Summum bukmun umyun fahum la ya'qilun. Okay. The nice part about this people is that you don't need validity externally. If you love yourself less, then you're going to search for validity externally. If you think you are not complete, then you're always going to search for incompleteness on the outside. If you're always going to have a hole inside, you're always going to fill it with something which is synthetic from the outside. Okay, our entire life in all degrees are going to be it's going to be exposed for what it is. It's going to be given the diagnostics, the analytics. It's going to all those settings you have on your phone and on It's going to do those kind of things because you set it up with your mind and you're going to see it now. The children that puts in their own settings, that's the settings that is in their minds. So they're going to see it for what it is. Okay? The evolution it grows, people, and you have to grow with it. You have to upgrade your software and your, yani, sometimes even your hardware. You have to maybe come into a more empathy format of growing maturely, not old. You're getting younger, you're not going older. You're just being flipped. Okay? You can't get to the next stage if you're old. Then you're not good for the next stage. You must go back again and understand why you have to leave when you're young. Because the next stage, you're going to enjoy it in a more younger space. Okay, and this time around, you're getting it while you're still in this dimension. Okay, that's that's the actual reward of this journey today. It is you are enjoying it in your time of conscious. MashaAllah. Anyway, may Allah bless us on this beautiful night, white night. It's part of the white nights. It is tomorrow, the 14th, and then it's actually it is actually full moon, tomorrow evening. Inshallah. Enjoy the energies, enjoy the love that you find inside of yourself. Guys, this is a romantic season if you love yourself. If you truly love yourself, if you speak about loving yourself, you're speaking about loving the master that has created you, and because of what he and how she functions, and that is generating love upon love. That's what we're speaking about, the unconditional love. So that is the gifts that Allah is rewarding those who did it for the right reasons, those who are searching for the proper purpose. They will find the true currency, and they would be the competitors for the mother's throne, inshallah. Barakallahu fikum. Enjoy your evening, and barakat to the ancestors of this land. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
يا مصطفى كل شيء لله يا نورا من نور الله يا مصطفى